Hey guys, and welcome to, well, part 2 of this quite quick rebuild, I guess. So yeah, it's the 68 Regal 325 Super again, and I know this one was going to be, we're going to do the brakes, but you might struggle to see, but there's nice copper brake pipes all over the vehicle now with new flexi hoses, and they're actually all fitted. I came home on it was Friday night, I think it was, and decided I would start them, and because I didn't have the microphone or anything out, and also the quite tricky idea of trying to film this, which I hadn't quite thought through, because although it was easy enough putting the pipes on, to make them I had to go to the other side of the shed, and it was back and forth a lot, and it wouldn't have been that good. So yeah, you missed out on the pipes unfortunately, but it was nothing exciting, don't worry. But the brakes do work now. So yeah, they're done. Which leads us on to today's video, which is the engine and gearbox. So these are my two rear gearbox mounts, which need to be reattached to there, which we're going to do just now. And I'll put some gloves on first, because I don't like getting my hands absolutely covered in grease, although I do it quite a lot anyway, so it does baffle me why I don't cover them more often. Now, these bolts, I think are all quite, yeah, they're great condition, covered in grease, and not a problem. So I'm not going to worry about these bolts being reused. We'll put some copper grease on them. Just add to the layer of grease that's already there. And this side we'll start with. Put that through there. Spring washer onto there. Looks like that bolt was that way around. And that's that one started. I wonder if the socket will fit onto these. Make it a lot easier for tightening these up. At the moment I had two spanners looked out and didn't think the socket would fit. But I'm starting to think it might fit now. Now wait a minute. I nearly forgot something that's quite important. This was on one of these bolts, and I believe it actually might have been the top one. We'll get away with the bottom one. The only difference is I'm going to have to clean up that slightly to get a good earth onto it. Right. Didn't really think that through. We'll come back to that one in a minute. So for this one, because it's already greased, we'll stick it on the other side. Because it didn't have the earthing strap on this side. It was just two bolts holding the bit in place. That's very lucky, it's not often that goes as to plan as that just did. I like an empty box as well, that means we're making progress. So, I'll get this washers off, bit of copper grease, and then onto the bottom one, which has just went on really easily, which I wasn't expecting. I think this is the 1/2 inch that's in the ratchet as well, so we'll give it a try. We've got a 1/2 inch spanner, 1/2 inch ratchet. I think we're going to have to take that off a minute, because it's actually going to give her far too easy to use the ratchet bit. Once it's tightened up and it's took a hold, we'll maybe get the ratchet onto it. I'm going to get rid of this greasy mark that I've left on there. I suspect that's been when I've been taking, well, I've also changed the oil seal here actually, that's the other job I did, so I have a funny feeling this marks has all came from that pinion sitting on this bit of metal, because I just sat it there while I was making a new gasket and fitting the oil seal. Right, that's one side. I'll just tighten it up just now so it's finished with. I hope this is... Oh, it is on. I was just checking I wasn't... Now I do all these bolts by feel when I'm tightening them. It's just because I've done... Well, this would be the... What's this? The third Regal? Refurbished the 330, but didn't get the engineer gearbox out of it because it was in good nick. The Trotter's van replica. It was engine out, gearbox out. Well, there was nothing left of the original bits, so they got rebuilt. And the Super Van 3 actually, it got totally rebuilt, so it had all the new bits as well. Anyway, back to the point. I better go and get something to clean up that bit of the chassis with. I'm not too sure what I'll use yet, because I need to get it cleaned in the back really as well. That's a good question, what I'll use. I might get a die grinder and just give it a quick clean up with that. I'll have to go the long way around because unfortunately the camera's blocking my path for getting round to my bench just now. But it was the best place I could put your camera so that you could see what was happening. So we'll take this. Oh, I forgot, I've got these wire brushes. Some of these might actually do the trick. I've got, if I can get the bag open. I think. Ooh, that might just do the trick perfectly. We'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, then we'll go to plan B, which I've not worked out yet. Hopefully plan A just goes to plan. So I've got two things here. I've got a battery drill and a brush tool I bought. This is actually for the kitten's engine. But I never had to use it because after I ordered it I realised I could do something that would work just as well. That's that. Now what I want to do is get a bit in the back of there. Have I got my torch on? No, it's in my pocket. Sometimes it helps to have the torch on when you're trying to see in awkward bits. There we go. I think we'll try the little one in the back because that's too big. Right. So what I'm doing is trying to clean off the powder coating around where the bolts come through, so it'll get a good earth to the chassis. It's not just the easiest to do, you know. It does look like we've got a bit of the chassis cleaned up. I'll try again with this, just to see if I can finish it off with it, because this will serve a greater property of buffing. I'm sure that'll do us. Then we'll give it a good coat of copper grease afterwards to make sure it gets a good seal. Right, so this goes on. This won't be on yet. Get a bit of copper grease onto here. Then that through there, that through there, and I can't believe how good all this bits have went on. Usually trying to put these bolts on is a nightmare. But everything so far today has just went into place as it should. Which is a welcoming surprise for me, because it means I don't have to struggle with it. And that's very good when I don't have to struggle. As I've said a few times, I'm not sure if I've said it in the videos, you'd think Reliant would be very grateful that you're rebuilding them. But sometimes they don't seem to be that way. I get the impression a Reliant sometimes just wants to be left to be sitting in a garden or something for it's enjoying its retirement. Right. That's that one. Right, we've got one. I would say the top one's actually needing over a touch, so rubber mallet. That's better, that's perfectly lined up now. Now, I'll just spin this up the side, take the slack out of it. That's it. Feels good. I'm going to try this bottom one again. That's actually quite good as well. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Double check this side. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to alter those. Now, just because I've buffed a bit of this paint off, I'll give it a coat of copper grease again. I'm also going to coat the bolts. Normally when I'm rebuilding these cars I put stainless bolts in all these. The only reason I've not done it with this Regal is all the bolts are like new. They have a slight cover and a rust over the top of them, but none of them have snapped, apart from the seatbelt one. Actually it's snapped, but everything else has come out no problem, and it seems a shame to change bolts that aren't actually causing issues. But anyway, that's that one. We've got all these to put in as well still, which I imagine I should really have a clean up before we fit them, so we won't do that yet. But I will sit them somewhere that I will notice them, because I keep forgetting about them because they're out of sight. So that's those two, and I've just found the handbrake bits that I've also forgotten about. That's not needed either. The collection of parts behind me is slowly disappearing, which is also good. Means we're going the right direction. But these won't get a lot of cleaning, they'll get cleaned up. I just fitted. I'm not going to paint them, I think, because usually when I spend time doing these, they always burst. Although saying that looks quite clean. I might end up just giving it a buff with a wire brush and a coat of silver paint. Or primer even, just to protect it. So we'll see, that'll do later on, along with, I've also got a bit up here to paint somewhere, which is the seatbelt bracketry for in the back, which we need to fit before the shell goes on. So, that's my empty tub. We will jump across to the other side now, and we'll start putting the engine together. Well, when I say engine together, I mean the gearbox and engine together, so it can go in here. So, if you just join me over that side, we'll get going. Guys, here's the half-built 600 engine. So, it is just sitting like it is. There's nothing really to say more about it, apart from it's waiting to get the engine and gearbox, well, the gearbox reunited to it. So we've got the flywheel here. I have cleaned this up a while ago, but what we're going to do now is give it a spray of brake and clutch cleaner, get rid of any residue left on it of the oils or anything like that, because we don't want leaky oil and new mixing up with this. So clean that. Then this goes onto the flywheel, which I'm going to put a little bit of copper grease on with as well. I'm a big believer of this stuff saving future problems. So that goes on there. Then take the flywheel line it up with that. And that's that lined up there. Now, in here there should be another bit of the gasket kit I'm needing. And it is, it's down the bottom. It's this new tab washer. We need this, so this will mean that all these plates are held in position and they won't come loose. So that goes onto there. This one onto here. And this one onto here. So they're in place. I think they're 9/16ths actually. I was minding they were halves, but I think they're bigger. Yes, they are. Right, so that means we don't need to use the 3/4 one. We can use the 1/2" ratchet, because all I do with these normally is zap them up. So like this. That one's landed not too bad. So I'm just trying to line them up so they've all got the same kind of distance to get the tabs onto. That's not too bad, I'd say. And there we go. Right, next stage is the clutch, which has been all cleaned up. Now, to do this, the easiest way of putting it is it's a pain in the backside. I'll stick it on loosely, so that goes over that one, and that over that one. And we need the bolts, which are here. And what I did was, to save cases, and I think I was running out of them at the time, I put the clutch bolts in with the gearbox parts. So that's one. We'll put 2 diagonals in just now, and then I'll have to get the others digged out of the box. At least that means it won't fall out. The clutch won't fall off while we're trying to sort the rest of them out. That's 1 and 2. You can kind of tell the clutch bolts as well, because unlike the ones on the outside of the gearbox, they're a lot drier, they're not covered in oil. So that one onto there, into the flywheel. And I'm sure some of you are going, you've missed something out, and I've just realised what I've missed out. Yes, indeed, I have missed out the tab washers that I was supposed to knock over. I will completely blame that on the fact that I just was getting too excited at the prospect of getting the clutch back onto this engine. So let's go and knock the tabs back. At least we know we found 4 of the bolts, so there must be 2 more here. We'll just dig them out while we're here. There's another one. That's 5. The 6th one's still got its washer on it, so that's brilliant. 6. Right, we've got the chisel here, and what we're going to do, put on my light again, so I can see. Not too bad once you get these started. Getting them to start seems to be a blooming pain in the backside. So take that round to there. Oh, I've just noticed I put 3 of the bolts down the piston. So that's about there. This one, we'll try it as well. Just not good getting these started. I wonder if I've got a thinner, I'm going to see if I've got a thinner chisel, I think, to get into these. Because that's just not enough to get past the... to get the blooming thing to start moving. So we need a smaller chisel. Which I have got one here. I don't know if it's going to be any better though. I'll also take over a flat punch to see if we can chop them or tap the things around with that. I haven't got much other option. Oh, could use the scraper because it needs resharpened anyway. So I might just use the scraper to get them started. Because it's got a sharp enough edge to get below the tabs. So we'll try it. It helps if you have the scraper the right way around. This is really not good to do. We've got movement though, so we'll use the punch to get this one to shape. I preferred that a lot better to that chisel I used the last time. Right, last one. I'll just use this again this time. That worked a lot better than the last one. There we go. Give this a little tap because I can see it's... That's better. Right, so now we can actually fit the clutch in the flywheel. What I should have done was, while I was over getting the chisel and the punch, well the punch and the scraper even, I should have went and got the blooming bits to adjust this, or set the clutch. Because I have an alignment tool, which is not a very good one. But it still is better than just gauging it by eye. Which I used to do and realised how much of a struggle it can be. So I'll put that one there. That there. I'll put another few of these bolts in. Because we really need to, as soon as we get the clutch lined up, we need to get it tightened in position. So it's set, and then it's the gearbox. And you'll easily know if it's not set because it will not go on the gearbox if it's not in position. So that's that one. And I'm sure a few of you are going, why are you greasing bolts that are supposed to stay tight to hold the clutch in place? And that's because if I ever need to change these again, I don't want to be struggling to get the things out and snapping them in the flywheel. So I put a little copper grease on any of these bolts just to hold it in place. It just gives me peace of mind for the future. Right. I'll start to take a hold. I will get the alignment tool and we'll stick the thing in one piece. And hopefully that'll be kind of us ready to stick the gearbox on, which we'll be doing on time lapse because it's a bit of a awkward kind of job. Most of the things I do in these Reliants, some of them just don't go to plan when you try them. Or I might put the gearbox on and then do the bolting up over time lapse. Right. So I need to slacken the one I've been tightening. And there's where we need to be. Still in line. You've got to remember, even though you set it, if it goes out of line, then the gearbox has not a hope at all of fitting. Now I will just give these a zap with a gun, just to make sure they're tight. So it's that, and that one. You need that adapter. It's stuck in the box. And we'll just give it a quick zip around with the impact. I'm sure we've done this one. Yep. That's also a quite small gap to get your fingers in. Right, I'm happy with that. Out comes that. And that's actually us ready to try the gearbox on now. So we'll move this stuff out the way. Now I've cleaned up the pressure plate for the first bearing heads anyway. It wasn't too bad. So the only concern I had was actually on the gearbox, which was I thought the first bearing was a bit worn out, funny. I had to stop briefly there for a second, but yeah, back to this. Yeah, my main concern with the gearbox actually was the first bearing, and you'll have seen a photo just previous to this, as it didn't look like it was wearing too well, so it didn't make sense to fit that again. I do, however, have a nice used bearing, which is in good shape, HF18, but this one's as old, it has a different number on it. That's not going to matter, because it's the same bearing, same size and everything, apart from it's not as badly worn. So we're going to use that in place of the other one. So with first bearings, I put a bit of grease on the end of them, just to make sure they have freedom to rotate. And this is not a bit, unfortunately, I can let you watch being filmed, because it's an absolute nightmare to do. That's moving fine in there, so I just want to check on it here as well. Yeah, that's spot on. Right, get that in place. And there's two clips. First, the fitting first bearings is not an easy job, by the way, because they are horrible little things to get the clips back on. And Oop. To get the clips in, you have to kind of, well, I don't really know the best way to describe it. You have to mess around for ages trying to push a clip over the edge or clamp. Ow! Which misses, and then you end up having to try and do something else. Oh, there we go. That's one in. They're horrible little things to fit. So yeah, that's in place. Try and tap. Make sure that thrust bearing's actually down in place. Same with this one. So nope, that didn't work. And this, there we go, that's over the edge of the clamp. Now I'll just tap it around with this. There we go. Get a leaf out of there, don't want that in there. Now that's in place, I'm going to put some anti-seize grease on of the I thought that would be freer. I think I'm going to get some oil into that carbon thrust bearings pivots. Although I've greased them, they're still quite stiff, and it shouldn't be that stiff to move, I think. So I'll put a bit of oil in it and we'll work it a bit and see if that frees it off. Because I think that's what's caused the uneven wear on the original thrust bearing. Right, so now I'll have to degrease all this bearing again afterwards. That's getting better already. So all I've done is I've put some oil on the two pivots and I'm just working them back and forth to let the oil work round them. I'm quite happy with that. So some brake and clutch fluid on there. Clean my greasy hands off of the thrust bearing. And we'll put some more grease on the pinion, or the spline that goes into the engine. And this should be ready to go now. So we'll just give it a try. Line up there. Line up there. Feels like we've engaged. Now, I did wonder if this might happen. This is down to mainly an ill-fitting bushing. If I'm remembering right, it's just bottoms end, it's just this top. So I might just try a bolt in it and see if it'll pull itself in place. I also remember one of these is longer and one of these is shorter. And I always get mixed up which is which. That's the shorter one, I think. So, a bit of copper grease onto the bolt. I've had to try and cut one of these out before, it's been seized and they're not good to get out. That in place. Curious enough, everything in Reliant is usually UNC, apart from bolts that are into casings. No, UNF even. The ones into casings are UNC. This should just pull itself into place, like so. And we've actually managed to bolt that on. So we've now got the engine kinda in one piece. I'm going to put a few bolts onto it, just so that it'll stay together. So I've got one of the split washers there, and a nut. Because what I'll probably do is just put the engine into place and bolt it up after that. Need my spanner back, or my socket back. So there's a bolt. Well, I'm doing a bolt halfway down the gearbox casing just now. And that's purely so that it'll hold it in place and it won't just lift up and fall to bits, because we don't want that. Because my next job will be to lift that into there, because the bolt for it is lying in the box we took it off the last time. That's that one. There's one down there, look, that's exactly what we're wanting. So we want a spring washer, a nut, and a little bit of copper grease. And I'll put that on, and basically after this it's going in, because it's a lot easier to bolt everything when it's in place. Because I don't have to roll my engine about to get everything put together. Still quite a tight fit though, these bolts. I have a few to obviously alter because they took the threaded rod out instead of doing it the way they should have been. It's the one we want. I'll roll this over just now, just temporary, so it makes my life a little bit easier. And then the rest of this will be time lapsed. But I know you want to see me lift the engine in, so let's see if I can manage, because I just got my booster yesterday, so yeah, it should be interesting. This arm could be less stronger than this arm, but well, we'll find out. So this will be lifted onto there, where it'll sit on there, and then I'll get the bolt last and put it through, and that should be it. So I'll just spin you round, because there's no point stopping and starting this bit. This will be very poetic. Well, I was going to say poetic, I was going to say something quite nice, but it's probably not. It's going to be a struggle of me trying to lift an engine. And probably you guys going, why are you lifting an engine yourself? You could have got a hand with that. Right. And hitting things as well. You can't lift an engine without doing that, of course. Right. Oh. Guys, it's very important as well, when you're doing this, to take off the nuts and bolts on your engine mounts. I totally forgot I'd put these on here. So that's that side. And I'm just glad there's no fluids in this engine. At least I can sit it on its end to get these bits out. That's that side. Right. Take two. Oh. That's that one in. That's that one in. And that just leaves the big bolt, which is right in my hands. So we'll put it in as well. Just double check there's nothing else in that box. No old engine mounting bolts, that's not a problem. Right. And that's the engine in place. Oh, right. That's the big nut that we needed. I'll just put it on a couple of threads just now. Until it stops. Right, there we go. I'll put that light off. And that is what I was wanting to get done just now. So guys, I will go and bolt this up. In fact, do you want to see a time lapse of me bolting up a gearbox? Because it's not going to be that exciting. I mean, you've seen the exciting bit, which is this. So I think we'll pass on that time lapse, because I don't want you getting bored and jumping to another channel. But anyway, the Regal's engine's in it, and hopefully cylinder head's back next week. And as soon as the head's on, exhaust on, inlet manifold's on, carburetor on, everything else bolted on, see if it fires up. Well, get the shell on it and see if it fires up again. And hopefully it doesn't smoke. So we'll see. But anyway guys, I guess that's it for this time. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me put together this lovely little power plant, although it's missing the top half of it still. If you have, remember to give the video a like. And if you want to keep up to date with all the other Reliant content on the channel, remember and hit the subscribe button, because there's some interesting things about here, and some more interesting things going to be coming here in the near future. So, I guess that's really it. I'm going to have a well-earned break, then get this all bolted up, and I'm going to go and sort out some other Reliant-y stuff about here. But anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time, when hopefully we'll be putting the head on this. I think that's the next job really. But we'll see. I guess we'll see you next time.